a lively village nestled by the banks of a mighty river, there lived a nobleman who owned the most magnificent elephant anyone had ever seen. This was no ordinary elephant. It was huge, with large floppy ears, a trunk that could reach the sky, and tusks that sparkled in the sunlight. It was the pride of the village. But there was one little problem. The nobleman had no idea how much his elephant weighed. Now, the nobleman wasn't a fool. He had tried all sorts of clever ideas. Maybe we can find a giant scale, one big enough to weigh the elephant, he thought. But every scale he tried, whether it was the size of a house or the size of a mountain, was simply too small for such a massive creature. Frustrated, he thought for a moment, then announced, "I will reward anyone who can figure out how to weigh my elephant without harming it." The news spread quickly through the village, and soon people gathered to try and solve the nobleman's tricky challenge. Strong men, wise women, and even a few magicians tried their best, but none could find the answer. Just when the nobleman was about to give up, a small voice spoke up from the crowd. "I can do it," said a young boy with a bright smile. His name was Zhang Heng, and although he was just a child, he was famous for his cleverness and curiosity. The villagers chuckled. How could a young boy possibly solve a riddle that had stumped so many adults? But the nobleman, intrigued by the boy's confidence, decided to give him a chance. "All right, young one, show us your way." Zhang Heng led the nobleman and the villagers to the river, where the grand elephant stood waiting. He had a plan, one that no one had thought of before. "First," Zhang Heng said, "we need to put the elephant onto the boat." The villagers carefully guided the massive elephant, step by step, onto the large boat. The elephant's feet made soft thuds as it slowly climbed aboard, each step deliberate and measured. Finally, the boat began to float, but only until the water reached a special line on the side of the boat. "Now, let's carefully take the elephant off the boat," Zhang Heng instructed. The villagers watched with bated breath as the elephant slowly and carefully stepped off the boat, its large feet making soft splashes in the water until it was back on solid ground. The boat gently rose, but the waterline stayed the same. "Now," Zhang Heng continued, "we will use this waterline as our guide." He then turned to the villagers and said, "Bring me some large stones." The villagers eagerly brought over heavy stones, which Zhang Heng began to place carefully into the boat. One by one, the boat sank lower into the water, until it reached the same waterline it had when the elephant was aboard. With a proud grin, Zhang Heng turned to the villagers and said, "Now we'll weigh these stones one by one using a standard scale. The total weight of the stones will be the exact weight of the elephant." The villagers gasped in amazement, and the nobleman clapped his hands in wonder. How could they have missed such a simple yet brilliant solution? And so, Zhang Heng's clever thinking saved the day. The nobleman's elephant was weighed, all thanks to a young boy who wasn't afraid to think outside the box. The villagers learned an important lesson that day. Sometimes the simplest ideas are the smartest ones, and a curious mind can unlock the greatest secrets. And Zhang Heng? Well, his fame spread even further, and his name became known as one of the wisest minds of all time. So next time you face a tricky problem, remember the story of Zhang Heng and his clever elephant solution. Sometimes, all it takes is a little creativity to find the perfect answer.